Levi, hey, congratulations on your new film, Before Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just love these war movies. I wish we have more of them, but we want to hear it from you. Is what initially drew you to this project?
Mm. Um, I'd say so. I discussed the script and was sent the script by Jordan a few years before we started shooting. So we shot in 2021. Don't know the exact year, but along with the script, he also provided the diary entries that inspired the the script. So that was a big part of it for me. The being able to put myself like in the headspace of them by hearing the primary source of these young men, often younger than me, boys really, um, talking about it. And yeah, it really put me in the headspace for it.
So tell us what you learned reading these diary entries, and how did you basically take that to mold into the character of Jim Collins?
Absolutely. So a lot of the diary entries, the ones I read were very focused on them thinking about home and thinking about their family and then like talking about their friends, like discussing, like talking about what their friends had done, like in the trenches, like just like it wasn't at least when I'd learnt about. So in our curriculum, Anzacs, it's a pretty big part of our history curriculum at school back home. But you often learn about like the large scale parts of it, like the different fronts and like our contributions and our sacrifices and everything like that. But the real human part of it was given to me by those diary entries, like I could see myself here talking about, missing my mom and my sisters and like but in like the severe way, you know what I mean? Like the very yeah, that's what that provided for me.
Was it surprising to you about the Australians' involvement into World War One? Since it's where we're talking about half a world away.
Yes, yeah. Well, again, like in school, we learned a lot about it. The I never really dived into specific like battles and like there's the especially on the like in France and in that like section of the war. So I did learn a lot. I learned a lot. Also, we had on set as a few of the background actors and the people who like taught us how to hold our rifles and fix our webbing, like the stuff we wore to hold our munitions. They would also impart like bits of history trivia and wisdom because they're well versed in it. So I did learn a fair bit. Very privileged on that front. But I was always kind of interested in history as well, so it was a culmination.
Now, you mentioned the preparations, and one of the things was the weapons training, because I was going to say the weapons back in World War One is nothing like the weapons that we use
No,
today.
not at all.
And I'm guessing it's probably harder to even use to, even play or
Well,
load or anything of those weapons.
yeah. I mean, I'm from Brisbane, Australia, which is like a city. So I don't know if you know about Australian gun laws, but it's like non-existent. No one, especially not in the city. Like you have one if you're on a farm and you've got like cattle to raise and stuff like that. So like I'd shot guns before, but it was like pretty much deep end for me. Like I was thrown into the deep end in terms of like really getting used to a rifle that's heavy as well, like that holding that and yeah, just to learn from both the reenactors and they had like on trained professionals on set teaching us how to handle and like how to use it properly, which was a good life skill for me that I gained from this.
Now physically, how did they prepare you for, the trench warfare type of scenarios? Because you're talking about closed confined spaces, the mud, being wet in the dark. I mean, crawling all over the place. I mean, this
Mhm.
must be really physically tough for you.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there was preparation. There was also just like experience it how you would naturally do it. You know what I mean? Like they had a lot of the explosions were these things called bucket bombs, which are like little buckets placed in the ground with explosives and that pop up. And as you're running through the trench, you hear it on your left, like this bucket going off, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I have to actually shield myself." Not because anything's gonna hurt me at all, but it's just a natural response to duck away from it. And when we first landed in the trenches, that was another part that really kicked it into gear for me. Like Jordan had talked about how they were building these trenches, and I'd seen update photos and videos and heard from the people doing it. But then actually stepping in there and yeah, I mean that it's trial by fire, but I think that's the best way to do it.
It sounded like you had a lot of fun of having the explosions and the
Yeah.
debris flying and I don't know, like pretending that bullets are whizzing by or something like that
Mhm.
throughout
Mhm.
these battle scenes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they had all like blanks, obviously, but I mean, they make a pop sound, you know. And when you're like firing, looking that way, firing in this direction, well, there's no one there. You're not shooting at anything, but and you're firing blanks, but you hear like the guys, like 10 guys to your left, 10 guys to your right, all firing these blanks forward. It's pretty exhilarating. Like it gets the adrenaline pumped up just naturally on its own, which is another great part of the immersiveness. And I think that translates. When I watch the film, like you really feel that heart racing. Um, yeah, it kicks you into gear.
Now, I know as a young person like yourself, for even for my generation, technically we never really lived through, a world war. We have wars, but usually they're isolated and it's small populations actually, participate in it. But you participating in something like a World War I movie like this, have have you learned significantly of the horrors of war just being on this set?
Yes, yeah, definitely obviously the again like the bullets whizzing and that uh experience is something else, but the real like micro stuff of just your uniform being wet and heavy and you having to sit in that for years and years and your shoes being wet and your foot like getting trench foot, trench foot, the rotting, like that stuff. Because what is it like? Illness kills most people during what like sickness is like a big killer, uh, especially during World War I where they didn't have proper medical equipment. But that was a real eye-opening thing for me. Just the stuff away from the horrors of it and like your own individual body just not being able to handle it, you know.
It sounds like with these uniforms and costumes, or even donning the mask,
Oh,
it's not
the
even
mask is something else.
really.
Yeah, the mask. I couldn't imagine having to slip that, like the most awkward feeling thing. And then, yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Most excellent. So what's up next after you for this film? You want to stick into the action genre, or you love to to diverse around into other types of films?
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the a great thing about this one is that it was both, the war epic stuff as well as being, um, very character focused and focused among, a group of people, uh, experiencing something and talking about it with each other. And I like that as well. I think it's a healthy mix of everything is always fun. And yeah, privilege on that front.
Well, Levi, thank you very much for carrying this conversation about Before Dawn.
Cheers, dude.
It is so realistic. I really felt like when you're watching it, you're actually there on the battlefield. So and it's scary on so
I'm
many.
glad. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.